Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest in the Phase 3 Meets series. I'm absolutely delighted this week to have John Goulding joining us. Hi, John. How you doing?
Hey, Asad. How you doing? Thanks for the invite.
Very well. No, my pleasure. My pleasure. For those of you who don't know, John is the former CEO of Core HR by Access and currently the co-founder and CEO at Workvivo, which is a employee engagement platform. So, John, really happy to have you, and obviously we're going to get into the detail of kind of Workvivo and all the good things about that. But probably best if you just start by kind of giving us a bit of a background and just tell us all about Workvivo.
Great. No, thanks, Asad. So Workvivo, we started Workvivo 3 years ago. We're an employee communication platform. Organizations are using us as their primary means of communicating with their employees, replacing intranets, replacing emails, the old way of doing things. But for us, it's not just about informing employees, it's also about engaging them. So we've designed our platform completely around what's important for the organization in terms of engaging employees. We started 3 years ago. We spent the first year designing and validating, doing a lot of research, and we essentially brought the product to the market 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, next month actually, and touch wood, it's gone well so far.
Okay, that's fantastic. And where did the idea of Workvivo come from? Is it something you kind of were planning for quite a while, or one of those impulsive things?
Funnily enough, I think people expect when you start a company that you've had this idea for years and you've always been looking for the opportunity to execute on it. That wasn't the case with my co-founder Joe Lennon and myself. We decided we were going to get together and ideally build a great product and build a great company before we knew what the product was going to be. So that was interesting, and I think it reminds me of there's a scene in the movie The Full Monty where the guy was going off to work every day, or pretending to go off to work every day. And there was a little bit of that for Joe and myself for the first month. We knew we wanted to build a great product, but we hadn't decided, okay, what's it going to be? So we were just researching, figuring out, what made sense for us based on our experience, where we saw the market going. And just through the first, I guess it was probably 4 to 6 weeks, we started zoning in on employee engagement. And we quickly figured out that we were both passionate about employee engagement, and for lots of different reasons, right? It's not just for the benefit of the organization, it's for the benefit of the employee, right? So if you get employee engagement right, essentially good things happen, right? Good things happen for the organization, good things happen for the employee. So then we just started researching, okay, what are the things that make a difference in terms of employee engagement? Because we're now determined to build a platform that can help organizations with employee engagement. So we did a whole lot of research, and we combined it with our own experience, and we identified pillars that we were going to build our platform around. So the pillars we identified were, first of all, connection with the goals of the organization. So if you look at the most commonly used definition of employee engagement, it's the emotional connection between the employee, the organization, and the organization's goals. So your most engaged employee doesn't only believe in the organization, but they believe in what the organization is also trying to achieve. But that's easy to say, but it's hard to achieve in reality. Absolutely. So how do you connect your average employee to the goals of the organization, the objectives of the organization? And I always, give the example in my previous company, a CEO, I stood up once a month, town hall meetings, we had people dialed in from various cities, etc. And I always spoke about the goals and how we were doing against them. Yeah. But I know if you asked 10 random employees the week after a town hall meeting, I'd settle for like 2 or 3 out of 10 being able to tell you about the goals, right? And I think that's true for most organizations. So that was our first, I suppose, objective, to try and better connect employees to the goals of the organization. The second objective was to help build a culture of recognition. So how do we help build a culture of recognition, facilitate a culture of recognition, and not just top-down recognition, but peer recognition, real-time recognition. And again, all the research shows that if you have a culture of recognition, you're infinitely more likely to have highly engaged employees. So that was our second pillar, our second objective that we wanted to design a platform around. The second, or the third, was communication itself. Yep. So communication, people's sense of ownership in a company. If people have a sense of ownership in a company, they're infinitely more likely to be engaged, right? And that's, naturally shareholders have a sense of ownership, but how do you influence the sense of ownership for everybody else? And two things that really influence sense of ownership are, am I informed, and do I have autonomy in my role, etc. But the am I informed, how informed am I? If I feel informed, I'm much more likely to be engaged. So that was the third pillar. The fourth pillar was community. In organizations, like organizations today, you have big organizations, small organizations, but in organizations you have natural communities, and they can be communities around a business challenge. There can be communities around a social thing. It could be a running club in London, in San Francisco. It can also be, for a professional services firm, it could be around a particular, US taxation or something. But you have natural communities, and our challenge was how do we facilitate those communities and that sense of community, and that all leads to belonging, which influences engagement. And the fifth thing we wanted to build in was measurement, the ability for the organization to pulse the organization, understand, colleague opinion, give managers actionable data, etc., and just understand the trends over time across geographies, divisions, etc. So they were our objectives, and then we just started the design process. And what we didn't expect is what would come out of the design process was essentially an employee communication platform. Yeah. But it's not employee communication for the sake of communication. It's been very deliberately and consciously designed around the pillars I mentioned. So connecting with the goals, building recognition, supercharging the communication, building that sense of community and measurement. And that's what we do. It's a communication platform, but very much deliberately designed around employee engagement.
Excellent. That's a great overview. Thank you so much for that. And do you think now, John, obviously you're co-founder and CEO of an organization that is smaller than the organization you came from. Do you think it's harder to manage that engagement, that culture, if you like, in a larger organization? I always say, and phase 3 are, what are we, 33, 34 people. Mm-hmm. I always say, and I'm super proud of our record, we've only ever had one person leaving our organization. Choosing to leave our organization, I should say. and I'm so proud of what we've achieved at phase 3. But I always say to the guys, one of our biggest challenges is managing that as we grow, as we get bigger, and as more people come onto the team. So do you think there's a significant difference, and therefore then software like yours, like Workvivo, can assist in that when companies are kind of scaling, getting larger and larger?
Yeah, I think the challenges are the same, right? They probably just become a little bit more difficult as you get bigger. So like for us, it's almost like the challenge is almost like, what do you do? I think most organizations want engaged employees. Yeah. So people try different things. And for us, I suppose it was all about like identifying, look, what are the key things that you're going to focus on? Like the challenge, and you hats off to HR directors, especially, right? They've got a big job to do, and especially in large organizations, and you can't do everything, right? So I think with things like employee engagement, you're trying to move the needle in the right direction, right? So you're never going to get it perfect. But for me, it's all about doing the right things to the best of your ability, and you'll get the results that way. You're never going to achieve perfection. I mean, like
doesn't
your
exist,
retention
does
rate,
it?
it doesn't, right? And like the retention rates you spoke about there, I mean, that's massively impressive, and I'm guessing it points to a real healthy culture. But there's a lot of component parts, and I think for me, it's all about just executing as best you can on the parts that make a difference. I think one of the challenges that is obviously going to exist going forward is, in large organizations, not only are they large organizations, they're now very dispersed, people working remotely. And again, for me, it comes back to just focusing on the right things in terms of building that culture recognition, ensuring everybody is connected with what the organization is trying to achieve. But the challenge now becomes you've got to try and do that digitally more than in person, right? So,
I was reading a tweet from Alan Sugar recently, and he said, I'm going to see if I can get this right. He said essentially doesn't believe in working from home. None of his team work from home, and he doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't see the value in it. He doesn't think his team are as productive when they're working from home and stuff. And I just thought to myself, well, is it maybe a huge shift? I mean, obviously he's an extremely successful individual. Nobody can question that. Is it an age thing? From certain generations who just kind of don't buy into this new approach, if you like, of working.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think, to be fair, different things will work for different organizations. I know from our experience, it just inherently feels right. I mean, it's right for us. I don't think we've missed a beat in terms of working remotely. But I think if you look back over the last couple of years, there's been a move to a more contingent workforce, flexible workforce, working from home. So this move to work from home and working remotely has been happening. I think what it's done, obviously, is the question or the doubt about can you trust the organization to be as effective? I mean that's been blown out of the water, right? For most organizations, certainly in our case, and I'll talk to our case. I think you go back to Douglas McGregor and Theory X and Theory Y. I certainly lean very strongly towards just trust your organization, and I think for me it's not even like you don't need to check up on people. It's really, somebody said recently, it's about checking in, because work from home can be pretty intense, and I think for us, we've seen that it is just very intense. Productivity is actually a lot greater, I think, when people, are working remotely. And I think the challenge is just making sure people are okay and they're getting the balance right. But no, for us, we won't be like, this is the way we'll continue, I think, so we've already talked about using our office as a hub rather than having, dedicated offices. And I think it brings a lot of benefit. So for me, it's all about embracing it, and I think it's shown to be very effective. And actually, one interesting thing that we're finding is, and I think this presents an opportunity as well, right? Where we're now competing for business in parts of the world where we're not having to travel to, and we're competing on an equal footing with companies that are competitors that are based in California, based in New York, and we're competing on an equal footing without having a necessarily needing to be physically present in customer meetings.
Yeah, it has to be the way forward, doesn't it? It has to be the way forward. And I think this is, if lockdown and this intentional lockdown and not being able to travel to sites has shown anything, is that you can conduct business this way. You can recruit this way. You can win new business this way. You can still present this way, which kind of leads me nicely onto the next question, actually, because you guys have recently secured some Series A funding from individuals, obviously investment, which includes the founder of Zoom.
Yes.
Obviously, Eric Yuan. Yuan, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Eric Yuan. Yep.
Eric Yuan.
So talking of presenting remotely and video calls like this, I mean, having the founder of Zoom and the timing of that, by the way, as well, which that must give you so much belief in this project, and in the organization.
Yeah, it does. It does, and we're thrilled with the Series A investment. It's been an interesting journey for us, I guess. We weren't looking for any external investment, and we were. I think like with anything, right? Luck plays a great part in
of course
business as well, right? You can have the best strategy in the world, but sometimes you just need to get a bit lucky. And we were doing really well last year, our first year of business. We had actually secured some really large enterprise customers way ahead of when we expected to, and we were spending a lot of time in California. And we were fortunate enough that a customer that was a mutual customer of Zoom and of ourselves thought it would be beneficial for both Zoom and ourselves to be introduced. So I was introduced to Eric, got to meet him, got to show him the product, and Eric actually asked, were we looking for investment? He was interested in investing, which was fantastic. I mean, it was a great endorsement of the product. We were, and just to have somebody like Eric on board, we were thrilled with. And then, when Eric came on board, had some conversation, he was encouraging us in terms of growing faster, and I guess it's the Silicon Valley Californian way, and
it's the approaches that they have, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely raised our level of ambition, prodded us in the right way. And that's then when we started looking at Series A. Our original intention was to continue growing on our own steam, if you like, but no, we came around to the idea of going Series A, and Eric he's been a great friend. He's been a great friend. It gives us a lot of confidence that he decided to come on board, and he's been a great supporter.
I mean, when I read about it, I thought that's fantastic news, and I can only put myself in your position if that happened to us, and someone, it's just so much belief. I think it's an important word for an entrepreneur, for a CEO, for a founder, to have belief in what you're doing, because often that confidence can be shaken for various reasons. But when something like this happens, you think, right, God, wow, we must be going in the right direction.
Yeah, but for me, I think one of the things I've taken out of it is, I mean, since Eric invested, and he didn't have to invest, right? And it's just things have gone incredibly well for Zoom, and deservedly so, right? It's a brilliant product, but in a lot of ways, for me, it's karma, right? Eric he's such a great guy. He's so supportive. He's asked us for so little, and he's given so much. And I think, for me, good things happen to good people, and he deserves all the success that he gets.
Wow, brilliant, excellent. In terms of other platforms, who do you guys kind of normally go up against then, John? If you're kind of competing for space here, and what are your kind of USPs compared to these other guys?
Yeah, so interesting question. So in most cases, Asad, it's white space, right? So we don't have, in most companies that we put our solution into, they don't have an existing solution or an existing competitor. Where in those organizations, we're competing with email, legacy intranet,
right,
and they just don't have something. So when we go in, it's a whole new world that opens up. Where we get into competition with other vendors for those opportunities, the most frequently encountered opposition would be Workplace by Facebook, which we love.
Small fry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll hear about them less over the next few years. So, but no, we compete mainly with Workplace by Facebook. We love competing against them. I guess our USP versus Workplace would be our platform has been very deliberately designed around the organization and what's important for the organization, and connecting our people to the goals and recognition, and it's been designed around employee engagement. Workplace for me is a consumer product that's been reverse engineered to try and work for an organization, and it's a great product and fabulous functionality. But I think our differentiator, we would have very similar functionality. So I think the functionality is very similar, but our starting point, I guess, is different, where we've designed for the organization and designed uniquely around employee engagement.
Okay. I look forward to you taking down. It's a bit of a David and Goliath, isn't it? Really, and it'll make for a fantastic story. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that rolls forward. In terms of lockdown, then, John, have you? I mean, obviously, I can see a situation arising where your solution and Workvivo as a product is obviously in huge demand during lockdown. So it's kind of forced that, if you like. But have you faced any kind of challenges over this period?
Yeah, I think you'll always have challenges, right? So we've seen a lot of accelerated interest from organizations in our platform. They're trying to, better connect with their employees who are now everywhere, remotely. Yeah. And it's like with our solution, you're fostering the culture, you're sharing all the good things that are happening, you're creating that culture and connection digitally. So we have seen accelerated interest, but we've also seen organizations that are trying to get their businesses back up and running, right? So yeah. they've got a whole different set of priorities, and but overall it's been very good for us. But we're very conscious of, it hasn't been good for every organization, right? But I suppose we are in a position where thankfully we're helping organizations through this as well. And one of the things that's been encouraging for us and satisfying is there's a lot of organizations that managed to go live with us before the lockdown, and we're getting really nice messages from them just in terms of what it has meant and the positive difference it's meant in terms of how they've been able to manage through lockdown, which is nice to hear.
Yeah, it must be. I can imagine. So what does the future hold then, John, for Workvivo? What's your kind of direction of travel?
It's a good question, Asad. So first thing I'd say is we're enjoying where we're at right now, and we've a fantastic team. We've built a great culture. Everything is a milestone for us, right? So moving into different countries, we've just opened a US office. We've been lucky enough. We've got a couple of the biggest brands in the world working with us right now, and it's exciting, right? It's exciting, and for us, we want to just continue to enjoy it, right? So for me, I'm like my original background is I spent 13 years as a customer service guy, right? So that was my world. My isn't sales, it's not marketing, I'm a support guy, right? So I love customer validation, and I still do, and it's the thing I probably get the most kick out of. And we've got some really great customers who are evangelizing us and referring us, and we're loving that, right? So we are ambitious. I think the Series A investment kind of puts down a marker in terms of what we want to do and how ambitious we are. And the goal over the next few years is we feel we've got a great opportunity. We feel we've got a great product. So we want to take it as far as we can take it. And last year, in our essentially it was like our first full year, we ended up doing more revenue in the US than the rest of the world combined, which normally takes longer, right? You normally start, for us, we're an Irish company, start in Ireland, or build on that, Ireland, UK, and then, you know, try and take on the US. And that's exciting. And it just feels like we're in a market that is growing rapidly. The opportunity is huge. We just want to take it as far as we can take it. We want to be the de facto when people are looking for a solution around engaging their employees, communicating with their employees, that they're looking at us. And one of the things where we think the opportunity exists for us as well is, if I'm the CIO of a greenfield site, a new organization, or I've got the opportunity to just put in the best of breed on everything, then we think organizations would be looking at Zoom for video communications, meeting like this, for your real-time synchronous messaging, where it's like, are you going to be on this meeting? Here's a PowerPoint deck. Here's a document I need to share with you. You're looking at something like Slack, and we use Slack. We're great fans of Slack. We're great fans of Zoom. We use them both. But then you've got a third leg of the stool for us, which is the bigger company messaging, the communication platform that engages your employees, carries the bigger message, builds the company culture. That's Workvivo. That's Workvivo. And we feel there's a big opportunity there, and we just want to take it as far as we can take it. Wow.
The future looks very, very healthy, I would say, John. And honestly, I've known you a good few years now, and I think, you know, I wish you nothing but tremendous success in this venture and any other ventures that come your way moving forward. I'm gonna move on to what I call the quick fire round, which is just it's just to get to know the individual a little bit better. You know, I think often these kind of interactions are a bit too businessy and this and the other. And, you know, you obviously, you know me as well. I'm a little bit more down to earth, and I just like to get to know the people a bit better, basically, whether it's my internal team, whether it's customers, client, you know, whatever it is. And I'm sure people would like to know, you know, the John, who's behind John? Who is this fella? So some strange questions, some normal questions. So here we go. Okay. Which app do you use the most?
Workvivo, Zoom.
Outside of Workvivo and Zoom?
It's going to be news, right? It's going to be news. I read a lot of news. I read more news than I read books. So I read like Business Insider, just New Irish Times, like local newspapers, bigger newspapers, global newspapers. But I read a lot of newspapers.
Okay. Favorite food?
I would eat anything, Asad. I'm sorry. I don't have a refined palate. I'll tell you what I'm doing this evening. I'm lucky enough to be working remotely, and I'm down in a beautiful place called in West Cork, and I'm planning to barbecue chicken on the beach this evening. Nice. So that barbecue chicken would be a favorite.
That is nice. That is nice. Is the weather going to hold out for you?
It doesn't matter. Weather is a state of mind. It's a state of mind.
Okay. Apple or Samsung?
Apple, 100%.
Yeah. 100%. Are you bought in?
It's not.
Is it too late you're too far down the line to change now?
It's way beyond that. I think one of the challenges we have in our company is making sure that we have Android devices to test stuff, because we've gone Apple for everything. All of my colleagues use Apple for everything: laptops, headphones, phones, etc. So no, we're Apple. We're Apple.
I should have spotted the AirPods in your ear.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite holiday destination?
West Cork, or I lived in Italy for 6 months about 400 years ago. Love going back there. I love Boston as well. I've got a strong emotional connection with Boston. I've 3 daughters. My middle daughter was born there. We lived there for a number of years. Lots of friends there. Love going back there.
Yeah. Okay. Sports team. What's your favorite sports team?
Oh, controversial. Soccer, football would be Manchester United. That's
Lovely, lovely.
and locally, I actually coach. It's an Irish sport. I don't know if you've come across hurling.
Hurling, yeah, I've seen it. Well, I've seen it on kind of YouTube and TV and stuff. Yeah.
So I coach my daughter's hurling. It's
All
called
right.
for girls. It's called Camogie. So I coach. I have two fellow coaches, and we coach under 14 at the moment. So
Brilliant.
big plans for them for the year once the lockdown finishes.
There you go. Excellent. And obviously, you just mentioned you've got three daughters there. What do you do in your spare time? What's your kind of your go-to activities when you have that?
Well, it's largely dictated by what my daughters are doing, right?
Yeah.
So I like to get involved in Camogie that I mentioned. So coaching there, that takes up a bit of time in normal times. My daughters are into music, they're into sport, hockey, and a lot of it is just getting to those, right? Personally, I'm a golf fanatic. If I get time, I'll get out for a game of golf.
I've never got into golf. I never got to share your passion for United. I'm looking forward to obviously Friday tomorrow and the season starting again. But yeah, golf is just something I've never really.
I enjoy the places it takes you to and the people you're with as much as anything else, right? There's a group of guys that some of them I don't see apart from once a year when we get away to, some part of Scotland or some part of Portugal to beautiful courses, and it's just really nice, and it's the company. It's the conversation, it's the bit of fun, and the place is as much as the game itself.
Wow. Okay, good. And final question. I don't even know why I wrote this down. It's a ridiculous question. Boris or Trump?
Ooh, Boris. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it close?
No.
Can't be, can it?
No.
But there you go. There you go.
Boris for sure. Yeah.
John, thank you. Honestly, I mentioned it earlier, but I'll say it again. You're an absolute gent, and I wish you nothing but success in everything you do. I really appreciate you taking kind of the time out. I know how busy you are at the moment. So to take the time out to speak to me, it genuinely appreciated. And thank you. And no doubt we'll catch up again soon.
Brilliant. No, thanks, Asad. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.